Hey mamas, it is Monday, so that means that we are having our Mamapreneur Nation Monday Facebook Live call. I don't know what you guys did this weekend, but I hope that it was just filled with lots of memories. We made chocolate chip cookies for my parents. We're gonna send them down today because if not, they're gonna be nasty and stale by the time they get to their house. And yeah, that's really what we focused on this weekend. I just moved my camera up because I realized that you could see my Zoom mullet. Well, I guess I should say Facebook Live mullet. So that just means you could see my sweatpants that I'm wearing. I mean, business on the top, I'm at home on the bottom. So yeah, I have on sweatpants. They're nice sweatpants, new. I would wear them in public, but probably not with this top. So today we are going to talk about habits and how they relate to our goals. And I am going to be honest, I love a lot of things. I don't know if you saw my post from a little bit earlier when I put out the reminder that we have a Facebook Live, but I listed a few of my favorite things, which include habits, marketing, data and statistics. They all go together. They all go hand in hand. And I love it. So they just kind of, go in this nice ball that, I carry with me all the time. And one of the things that I believe is so important about having habits, well, one of the reasons that I use habits is because I like to create systems. We really have a system for everything in our house. We may not follow the system, but we have a system. Like I have a cleaning calendar. I don't always use it. So if you come to my house and you see stuff on the floor, like lots of toys, it is because I didn't clean it or because my youngest just pulled it out right after, which is typical when you have a toddler or, a 12-year-old. So but we have a system for everything from cleaning to even grocery shopping. And I love systems. They just help my brain work more efficiently. I have a background in computer science, and if you know about that, you know that there is, analysis, there's programming that's just like if-then scenarios, or if-then statements, but the scenario is if it is Tuesday, then we're going to wash the kitchen floors. So if-then all the time. So that is what I use in most things, and it helps me keep things straight. But if I don't do that and I don't write it down, I tend to get overwhelmed kind of quickly because I just kind of tumble into the whole of I have so much to do. What should I even start with? But whenever I write it down, I know that I can what to do next, and it just kind of eliminates that. And that is what habits do for me, and what I like to do. Thanks, husband. He just wrote that he's going to get me Chick-fil-A, and I love Chick-fil-A, so I'm not going to deny it. And Arnold Palmer would be fantastic. I was saying, habits are great. I know that some people don't like to have habits because habits, people think that habits make life boring, but really habits just create the space so you can have critical thinking and to think outside the box, because your brain, it's neuroplasticity. Your brain can learn things at any age. You can't teach an old dog new tricks because their brain is learning. So they just might be stubborn. I always did, call myself an old man, a stubborn old man. And so that is really what it is. You really have to choose if you want to learn something new. And so tangent aside, habits give our brains room to think critically about things that we don't always normally do, because whenever you have an if-then statement in a program, it's always going to go in that order. So if then, like, you know that it's Tuesday, you're going to wash your floors in your kitchen. It's not a question. Your brain already knows to do it. You're going to wake up and you're going to do it. Like when you wake up in the morning, if you have a morning routine, like for me, I wake up, I typically get some coffee, and I will have my quiet time, or like pray and read my Bible every morning. That's what I'm going to do. And like sometimes before then I might not have coffee, or I do have coffee, but either way, I know that the next thing I'm going to do is have that quiet time. So writing things down until we know what we have to do next. And one of the things that is great about habits is that you can write them down and you can track them. I'm gonna just be honest, through this series of goal setting for 2021, I have really thought about my goals from last year, and I'm thinking about doing another a video, probably not a live, but a video that talks about how well I did in my habits for 2020. And I ranked myself. I gave myself, well, at first I gave myself a 5, like 1 out of 10. I gave myself a 5 because I felt like I did a really good job of halving it. But you know what? I did not even half it. Like, it was like, I guess I'm going to do, like, if I had to rank myself without looking at results, I would give myself a 5. But after looking at what I did and evaluating how much I accomplished, I gave myself a 2, because the best way to get better is to be really honest, and even being honest with myself was necessary. So I'm thinking about doing a video about that. I think it'll be fun, and just maybe a little bit, like, it'll be fun to share, maybe a little eye-opening. And with that, whenever I look back, I realized that I wasn't really I didn't track my habits and how I was doing them very well. So I really couldn't measure my results. But when I remember what my goals were, like overall, not good. It was not good. So this year I'm going to focus on every tree instead of the forest. And I just put a post about that. Like last week I talked about how I'm quitting goals and I am just going to focus on having good habits and sticking with those habits by tracking them. So I'm going to look at every tree instead of looking at the forest, because when I look at the forest, it's overwhelming. I wouldn't even say that it's overwhelming. I just think that I'm doing better than I really am. But at the end of the day, our habits are what we have to fall back on. And so if we get off course, we can get back on course. So with that, I am writing my habits down. I'm going to track them, and to really get to your goal, it needs to be broken down so much that it's kind of just elementary, like tedious. Read tedious when I say elementary. Like, you know where you want to go. Like, you know on Friday that you want to go shopping and get your groceries. But before you may want to go get your groceries, but what are you going to eat? What are you shopping for? What exactly does each recipe need for you to get the meal that you're going to create? So you need to know that stuff before you can go shopping, because otherwise you're going to be throwing whatever looks good into your cart, and you're probably only going to get 1 or 2 meals, like 2 dinners out of it, because you didn't have a plan of action for your meals for next week. And that's why knowing your end goal is so important. And that is why I shared the book Living Forward, where you start with the end in mind. And if you missed that, that's where I was talking about the book Living Forward. It tells you to go and write your eulogy at, well, what you hope your eulogy will be at your funeral. And then you decide, how do I need to live for this, for people to actually say these things about me? If I want to be remembered as someone who is generous, I need to be generous now, because if not, how will they know? So that is why we're going with the end in mind, because if we don't know where we're going, we're just going to be all over the place. And that is definitely where I was last year. And, I did know where I wanted to be, but I wasn't taking those steps to where I wanted to go because I really didn't know exactly what I needed. Like, I wasn't writing down that I needed, salt and pepper and chives and all the extra stuff that you put into your food to make it taste good. Like, I was kind of like, I need chicken, so I'd only buy the chicken. Then I'd have like dry, flavorless chicken for dinner. Nobody wants that. We need flavor. We need all the spices. And so that is why we need to have a plan of action. I took a lot of notes today because I really didn't want to miss anything, because habits are important. But I do have 2 things to share at the end that I am so looking forward to sharing with you, because it's what I love. That's why I'm here, to give resources. And I also want to say that sorry, I'm hitting my camera a lot. Whenever we have those habits, like, they build upon each other. So it kind of goes like with the compound effects, like they build upon each other, and it will eventually get the results that we're looking for. Having habits it's I want to say that it's fun, but habits aren't like what makes us like jump up and down. What makes us jump up and down is the goal that we were looking for, that we were reaching for. That's why we created the habits. And it's not easy. When we have habits, sometimes we have to change them because they're not getting the results that we need. And if anyone tells you that it's easy, if anyone tells you that it's easy, it's a lie, and you should not join their team. You should not message them for more information, and you should probably block them and know that it's a trap. Having habits, sticking to your habits all the way until you get to your goal, that is hard. It takes a lot of self-discipline, and I am working on self-discipline. I really can fall off of the self-discipline train a lot because it's easy, like whenever you're like making those choices. And that really brings me to another resource that I really love, a book, and it's called Atomic Habits. Look, guys, I kept the cover on so we can see what it looks like. Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you haven't read this book, there's a really, really good podcast called Smart Passive Income by Pat Flynn. It's really one of my favorite podcasts. It's one of the first podcasts that I ever listened to. On episode 340, I looked it up so I'd be able to share it with you. On episode 340, James Clear talks about this book and how it's important to have habits and track habits, because habits help you get to your goals. He says a lot of people think that habits is like a lot of people think that goals are you just set a goal and then you hit the goal. But he talks about like doing like the tedious things that you have to do, like picking out the salt and pepper for your chicken so it's full of flavor. He says that whenever we start a habit, like whenever we choose a habit, there's a part before we start the habit, and that's a cue. So, for instance, say that you want to lose weight, so you buy a gym membership, and every day before you get to the gym, or before you go to the gym, like you get off work and then you get to the stop sign or the stoplight, and you have to choose left to go to the gym or right to go home. Right then is the choice that you make if you're going to follow through with your habit or if you're not. So if you go left, you're going to keep hitting your, like doing the daily habit, and you're working your way to the goal. But if you continually go to the right, that's when you miss your goal because you didn't follow the cue. It's the decision before you actually do the habit. And another thing is, say every night before you go to bed, you choose to pack your gym bag with everything that you're going to need, like your bottle of water and your yoga pants. I cannot believe I forgot that word. And you pack your yoga pants. You're going to go in, you're going to hit the weights hard, or you're going to do hot yoga. Or you can choose to watch like Real Housewives of Chicago. And that is the choice that you make. Are you going to pack your bag so you're ready the next day? Or are you going to push it off to the morning, and then you run out of time in the morning, and you just kind of like put it up to chance if you're actually going to pack your bag or not? Or you could do it when you know that you have time. Or are you going to relax because you went to the gym and you need, to rest? That's when he talks about it's the most important part of following through with your habits is the cue. Let's see. Sorry. That was a long break. That's why I make notes, so I can stay on track, and that is why we're going to track our habits so we can stay on track. So I think that I have missed about the part of creating habits. I've said to create a habit, we need to have a goal in mind. Whenever, it doesn't matter what you're doing, we create a habit on purpose. We brush our teeth every day because we don't want to have cavities because we don't want to have to pay the dentist for a filling or a root canal. We turn off the lights when we leave a room because we don't want to pay more for electricity, and also we want to save the earth and, things like that. We turn off the water because we don't want to waste water. Like, we have habits because we know there is a consequence, good or bad, after the habit. So that's why we create habits. And another, like an example that I have that I did not do well because I hadn't picked out the salt and pepper. I'm going to keep using salt and pepper for like an illustration of the, I'm going to keep using salt and pepper for an illustration because I feel like it works very well because, like I said earlier, if you go to a grocery store and like if you know that you have to go to the grocery store because you're going to get food for the next week, we need to know all the ingredients that are going to go into our meals for the next week. So we need to know if we need salt and pepper for a certain recipe. With this, our goal is to have dinner every night next week, is to cook dinner every night next week. To do that, we have to go to the grocery store. It's like part of that is like the habit to get us to that goal of having dinner every night is to go to the grocery store. But the cue is to make our grocery list so we know all the things that we need for our meals that we're going to have. So that's why I keep talking about salt and pepper. But real life, if I want to add 12 people to my team, I'm going to have to, first off, let people know that I am looking to build my team. And that means I need to show up every day on social, or I shouldn't say every day show up on social media every day, because it can look different ways. Like you can go to stories, or you can post a post. You can, like Facebook and Instagram, they're different. I'm going to be honest, I'm not on Snapchat or TikTok. And I almost said the TikTok like an old lady. I'm not on Snapchat or TikTok, mostly because I don't understand how to use them. Instagram is easy. Post a picture, put a caption, voila. On Facebook, it's way easier. I don't even have to like plan how it's going to look on my feed. I just take a picture and pop it on. I put some like I always try to be valuable. So like planning those things out. But if you want to build a team of 12 people, you have to give them value. And when you're giving them value, it needs to be value that's going to help them make the decision to want to join your team. You know, if I am building my business and I want to help 12 people, if I only talk about cats for however long, people aren't going to want to be on your team, because cats don't help them get to their goal. I mean, we can love cats, but it's not going to help us get to our goals, guys. I say that because my husband loves cat memes. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't get it. He just thinks they're so random, and I don't know. He thinks it's random, so that's what makes it funny. He's not even a cat person, to be honest. I don't know. It's real life, guys. So if we're posting and showing up on social media and we're helping people by giving them value, that's going to help people. That's going to lead to growing a bigger team. For me, when I was doing that, I was kind of like posting about cats. Like, I just posted about whatever. I didn't really talk about my business. I didn't talk about the benefits, what I'm learning, how I'm growing. I, was all over the place. How are people going to know what I'm doing? Like, how are people going to know that I'm trying to help them if I don't ever say, I love to help people? That didn't happen. So, like, I didn't grow a team of 12. And I know that now. And I'm able to help other people, like, realize that and help them grow their teams. But to create the habit is, like, being prepared. So, remember, always, I'll say this until I'm blue in the face, it typically takes 20 to 30 touches for someone to reach out. That's a lot. So, like, bringing value about being on your team, about your business is necessary just about every day. I mean, it'll take a month or better for someone to get interested. There's always, like, the early adapters. That's something that we learn about in Malcolm Gladwell's book, early adapters, and then people that kind of fall in line. But early adapters may come beforehand, but most of the time it's going to take that 20 to 30 touches, and you help people know that you're ready to help them by creating valuable content. So your habit is researching, finding topics that relate to your audience well, and then putting that information onto your platform. And then creating that know, like, and trust. So, adding some personal touches, like adding like a personal story, and just letting people get to know you so they know that you're somebody that they want to work with. Oh, I hope that you really got some value out of that 20 touches, and we're following along with the salt and pepper recipe. The chicken recipe with salt and pepper. Maybe throw some, cayenne oregano on there. Whatever you like, some tomato sauce. I'm just making myself hungry right now. I need to eat lunch. Good thing my husband is going to Chick-fil-A for me. Second thing that the second thing that James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits is he talks about tracking your goals. And I'll say it again, tracking your goals is necessary because it helps us know what needs to change or what needs to stay the same. And I would say that if habits are the road to your goals, then tracking and evaluating, those are the road signs to point you in the right direction. If we're trying to get to Florida and we know that our goal is getting to Florida, if we get off track, then we need to look at the signs that tell us head south and to hit those checkpoints. Like I'm in Chicagoland, so we're gonna go Indianapolis, Louisville, we're gonna hit Nashville, and then we're gonna hit probably Atlanta, and then we'll hit Florida. Or if you're gonna go straight down Alabama, Birmingham, and then we'll hit Destin. Oh goodness, guys, I know directions. It took me a second. I haven't been to Florida in a few years, but I know how to get there. South, just stay south. But say we get to a point where it's, do we want to go to Nashville or Memphis? They're both south, but Nashville is definitely the directions that we need to go. So when we are tracking our habits and we see that we're about to go to Memphis, we can go and see that's not working. We need to find our way back to Nashville so we can head south again. That is really, I would say, the most important and the most difficult part of making business decisions. Like, starting a habit is easy. Sticking to the habit and finishing is the harder part, because sometimes when we set a habit, it's not what we need. Sometimes when we set a habit, we can do it, but it's not getting us to the goal that we want. And so the hard part of that is making the decision to change routes, to change what we're doing. And we're habits, and we're humans, and humans don't really like change. I am a human. I don't really like change, especially whenever we're doing a habit for a whole month. That means that we've passed that 21-day mark, and we've been following our cues for 30 days, and we are really, our brain is changing, so we know that that's what we need to do next. That's the hard part, is starting over again, because we get comfortable. I'm sure there's a quote about being comfortable, like comfort doesn't get us to our goals or something like that. That's okay, we know, and when we know better, we're going to do better, right? So this is the part that I am, as you can tell, I am jumping out of my seat to tell you. Sorry, sometimes my face doesn't match my inside. I have been thinking about this for probably since I decided to make December our goal, to talk about goals all through December for Mompreneur Mondays lives. And I don't think I've ever said this. I'm on this page because I don't want to just help other people get better. I also want to get better. And for me to get better, I have to take the actionable steps. Excuse me. And so, one of the most actionable steps is to, for me, like I said earlier, I have a cleaning calendar. We have like grocery shopping, we have it all out in a Word doc. We have an Excel sheet of that, and I love to create things that are going to make my life easier. So one of the things that I created, not just for me, but really for both of us, so we can both like reach those goals and get in like to make those goals come to fruition, is I created a habit tracker. And I'll hold it up. I hate that this is backwards. But because this is our first month and we are starting something new with tracking our goals, we don't want to overwhelm ourselves with trying to do too many things. So there's only 10 spaces. But there's 31 days. So January 1st, we have 30 days, and then you can reprint and only go to 30. Or if it's February, we can only go to 28. We know how months work, right? But the most important part, I think, is at the bottom, because if we don't know why we're doing something, it's harder to stick with it. Absolutely. I am a why person. I ask my husband all the time, like, but why? Like, why does that mean that? Or like bigger picture, not just like kids, like, but why? Like, I like to know the core of something so I can understand it more, and it helps me to just do better. So with that, we need to know the why of why we are starting a habit. Like if our kids don't want to brush their teeth, we have to tell them why. If our kids don't want to take a bath, we have to tell them why. Because if you stink, nobody's going to want to hang out with you. And then you'll be lonely. And then I don't want to hang out with you because you stink. But I love you. So I have two things, before and after our goals. The first is before starting a habit. What is my end goal? Why am I starting this? What do I want in the end? Do I want to add a new team member at the end of this month? Do I want to have 100 new followers at the end of this month? Do I want to make new, do I want to have more sales at the end of this month? And how will this habit get me to my goal? These are like thought process questions. So I would say that you definitely need more room, because I just put the questions, before the start of the month, the questions, and then 10. But if you're like me, I like to write everything out. So these are kind of like open-ended discussion questions. Is that what, like essay questions? But guys, the more you flesh something out, the more it'll make sense, and that will give you like more of a why to complete your goal. Like, we all have whys. We just don't start businesses for fun. We have a why. Like, what is our why? Do we want to show our kids that moms can be, do we want to show our kids that moms can love us, raise us, and also have a business? Do you want to show them that we can get up and work with our hands and make our husbands proud and our kids proud? Like, what is the why? But we also need to know why we're having this goal and how it's going to help us get there. Because sometimes we may think that adding a whole bunch of people, like following a whole bunch of people and then unfollowing them, is going to get us to our goal of having more followers. But really, that's a terrible choice, and Instagram is going to jank up your algorithm and not have people even find you, because that's how it works. So to be authentic in what we're doing. And then the second part is at the end of the month. And there's 3 questions for at the end of the month. What habit was I most consistent with? Which habit did I follow through the most? Hopefully it's every day, but like I said, we're humans and sometimes we're not able to do that. And then where did I see movement towards my goal? This is, I would say, the most important question. And that was, where did I see movement towards my goal? Guys, if we're not seeing movement towards our goal, like we can be as hopeful as we want, but if we're not seeing movement towards our goal after doing something consistently for 30 days, then we need to evaluate our habit, not our goal. This is to evaluate habits, not goals. So if we're adding and if we're following and unfollowing people on Instagram and we see that we're not getting more follows, then we need to reconsider the habit that we have created. And then the last one is, what goals did I hit? I think this is the most rewarding question to ask ourselves. Like, which goal did I hit? And being able to check off those goals that we hit. And if you don't hit them, but you're seeing growth towards your goals, that's still a win. That's a huge win, because, you know, there's no such thing as an overnight success. I love that Lizzo, she's a singer, and she plays a flute. I don't know I hope that I'm describing her well. If I'm not, let me know in the comments. How would you describe Lizzo? Let me know. Lizzo, she says that she was, like, people say that she's an overnight success, but she says there was a point where she had like negative $8 in her bank account. She played up to 2 shows a night, and she like had been working on it, her craft, for at least 10 years. And I don't know how old Lizzo is, but I know for sure that she was playing the flute in middle school. So it was probably more than 10 years. Let me think. 11, I'm sure she's older than 22. So she had been playing it for more than 10 years. So she was definitely a professional at playing the flute. And she also, before we knew who Lizzo was, she was playing and being mentored by Prince. And, you know, if Prince doesn't make you an overnight success, then, I mean, there's no such thing as an overnight success, guys. So she worked on her craft, she practiced, she had her habits. Her habits were playing at clubs every single day, playing her flute every single day. And so she hit her goal. Like, she hit her goals and she made new goals. That's what we're going to do. And that's what we'll do with our habit tracker. So I am going to do, I guess, 4 things. One, I am going to link this book, and I'm going to link the podcast on my website so you can find it. And I'm also going to link this habit tracker so you can have it in your inbox. I am so excited about the habit tracker, guys. I'm excited because I know this is a tool that I can use, and I will be able to use it month in and month out and be able to really see progress where I want to see progress. And it's just what I said. If I don't know where I'm going, and if I don't know really what I need to get there, then how am I going to get there? And this is going to help me see and discover all those things. And it can help you do the same thing. And I hope that we're able to come back at the end of every month and just share what our wins were and what we saw that needed to change. And, you know, I say wins, but when I think the biggest win that anybody can have is knowing where you're going and knowing what you need. So if you're like if you're doing your habits and then you see that it's not working, knowing that you need to stop doing that, that is a win. That is a huge win. It's just going to help you get to your goal more, or I would say more quickly, because you don't have to spin your wheels, you know? So I'm going to link that too. As always, I want to hear from you, please leave a comment. So a couple comments, if you don't know what to leave. One, you can leave, how would you describe Lizzo? I described her as a singer who plays the flute, very talented. I would also say she's pretty hilarious. Like, Lizzo is one of my favorite people she's one of my favorite entertainers. She's so talented and she's funny. Two, you can just say hi and let me know if you are going to download this habit tracker. That's what I want to know. How quickly are you going to download the habit tracker? And three, the third thing that you can tell me is, do you know what your goals are for 2021? We still have a couple weeks left, so if you don't know your goals yet, you still have time. But to have them by next week. Oh wait, do we have 3 weeks left in 2021? We have this full week, the next full week, and then I guess most of the next week or half of the next, the full next week. So we have about 3 weeks left to have your goals done by the 26th, the day after Christmas. Would probably be best, because then you can start planning. Like, you can write down and really see what your end goal is and how you're going to use and how your habit is going to help you reach that goal. So, oh yeah, let me know in those 3 comments. And if I haven't met you yet, I want to meet you. Please leave me a message, like send me a DM so I can get to know you. We can chat a little bit. I can answer any questions that you have about this habit tracker or the book or the podcast that I mentioned. As always, if I don't talk to you before next Monday, which I'm definitely going to be posting, I would love to message with you. If I don't talk to you before Monday, I will definitely be back on Monday, and I will get that video up of how I would evaluate myself doing goals last year. I wrote it out, and guys, like I said, I gave myself a 2. And in the video, I will tell you why I deserved a 2. Because a 1, I don't think I could bear with saying that I really only get a 1. I'm not even pulling the pandemic card. Like, I can't even pull that. Anyhow, have a wonderful week. I look forward to hearing from you, and I will talk to you soon.